we'll gather round, feel the love come down. Blue elephant is strong. Together.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are using another one of my inlays. This is a little Christmas tree, which I think is super cute. We are using Resin's rectangle tree. This is the smaller one, and these really gorgeous lights. Now, what I want to do is these lights, I don't know if you guys have ever seen them, ever used them before. I've used them once, I think, on my channel. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before. They don't light up. They're just like for dollhouse lights or whatever. I absolutely love them. I think they are so cute. First up, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to dust my inlay. And I decided that I want to make it look like it's got ornaments and snow on the branches, because why not, you know? So the first thing I want to do is I'm using some of Eye Candy's mica powders for this. And I'm just going to put little red dots on it like they're Christmas baubles. And then we're going to take a little bit of the white and kind of just dust the top of the branches. Now, the reason I'm doing these two colors first before I do the green is, if you've never dusted silicone before, whatever touches the silicone first is what's going to stick. So I want to get everything in place before I go over it with the green. I don't have to worry about the green kind of taking over those other colors because they are what's going to stick to it. The green is not. Now, hindsight, I don't know why I used regular mica powders instead of the Let's Resin chrome powders for this. They would have worked 100,000,000 times better. Lynn, honestly, I'm blaming it on you. It's all your fault, because I've been using it a lot lately and you've been complaining that you can't get them. So I guess in the back of my mind, I was like, I can't use it because of Lynn. Anyway, no, I should have used them. If you've not used the chrome powders before, they act a lot like the intense chameleon powders from Let's Resin. You don't need to have black to back them to make them show in all their vibrancy. It doesn't matter what color you put behind it. It's going to show that beautiful, vivid, bright, chromy yumminess that comes with those powders, right? That's what I should have done. Again, hindsight. So we went ahead and we're just going to do it this way. And it's fine. It just would have shown up a lot better in the finished piece had I used those instead. All right, so first things first, I've got my Let's Resin resin mixed up, used my Resiners dual mixing machine to do it. I'm adding just the tiniest little bit of Rolio's Pearl White. It acts like a super sparkle. So if you can't get a hold of like the Unicone Crushed Crystal or anything like that, it adds like that. Just, you can buy this and it's honestly, it's like the same thing. It's very fine. You use just the tiniest bit. I've had this jar for 2 years now and I still have it. So yeah, it lasts forever. All right, so sprayed my mold with alcohol. Now I'm going through and I'm putting just the tiniest little bit of resin around the edges. And this is just to give something for the lights to, hold on to and make them stay put. Again, hindsight being a wonderful thing, I should have stopped adding resin at this point. I did not, clearly, but I should have. When I was doing this, because I've only used these lights maybe once or twice and in a completely different way, I did not realize that they would float. And they did. So because of that and some other things that happened, my entire, the whole thing that I wanted to do with this completely had to pivot and go in a different direction because they floated. See, if I would have left it just this tiniest little bit, because honestly, I just wanted them around the top edge. That was it. My plan is them around the top edge. I want a clear layer of resin along the bottom. That's where I'm putting my inlay. And then I want the rest of the sides and the rest of the tray in a color, right? That is what my plan was. It didn't happen because I added more resin to it. If I would have left it here, yes, they may have floated, but there's not much for them to float in. If I would have waited for it to cure, left it where it was, I could have come back, added just a tiny bit more clear around the edge for them to completely be like just surrounded in resin, right? Which is what I want. But I didn't do that. I decided that it would be a good idea because the resin wasn't completely covering them to go through and add more resin to them. Again, not thinking that they would float. And then add the rest to the back of this piece, which again would have been fine. Like I need the clear on the back so that I can lay my inlay. I also need it to completely go around the entire base of the back, because what happens is if there are certain areas where the clear resin is not covering, when I go, it may not matter for my inlay, right? But when I go to add the color on behind it, it 100,000% is going to show and it's going to look horrific. So I need it to be, all the way across the bottom. So I heated it with my heat gun to just get rid of any bubbles that may be there and thin it out just a little bit to get it to move a little bit. It's chilly in my house, so, I needed to heat it up just a tad. We're going to go in with the taco method and let the silicone inlay down like that, hoping that we don't get a lot of air bubbles in there because it is it's embossed, so it's very detailed. And then move it around, make it all nice and centered in all of the things, and make sure that there's no air underneath, which is what I'm doing right now. But things took a turn. And you can tell right now, if you look at if you look at the right upper corner where the silicone is already starting to move, that should have been my indicator that I'm not going to have enough to do this with. So had I waited and not poured the extra clear around the sides, what I could have done is poured that first around the sides, added the light, right? And then, because I would still need more clear resin the next day after it has cured, I could have added more resin around the sides, put my base coat down on the bottom, that clear coat, then added my inlay, making sure I had enough resin at that point. This way now, if I pour more in there, there's going to be too much around the sides. Does that make sense? And then I wouldn't have had too much around the sides, and I'd still have enough to do my color, what I want to do with the background and all of the things, but everything changed because of these decisions. I got some of my Christmas confetti mix that I have, and it's a really cute mix. It's got candy canes and holly leaves and different colored snowflakes and stars and something else, little Christmas trees in it. Super, super cute mix. And I thought, again, going in my head with the initial idea that I had, that this would look cute, just a few sprinklings around of certain ones. So I'm being very particular about what I'm picking to put them in, just to add a little bit more interest to the background, not realizing that all of this resin is pulling away from the sides and I'm going to have a serious problem. I don't even know why I'm not paying attention to it, but I'm not. So I'm going to continue doing this. Let this dry. Here's the next day, and you can see. You see what happened? I'm going to show you better in a minute. Now, the silicone inlay comes out beautifully, but you see like the entire left side, there's no resin on there at all. I'm missing big chunks from the right side. So I have to cover this. So that means now I have to mix up more clear resin to put there to fill that up. But I can't just like fill those spots, because then if it's not all even and level, it'll be stupid looking and you'll be able to tell. So I'm going to have to do a completely new clear layer down on the bottom, which is going to add to the sides, which means I'm not going to get the color in there that I want. So it's just this whole thing. Now, on a separate note, these are the next two molds that are available beginning today in my store. They are diamond sparkly, super sparkle, beautiful, beautiful molds. And yeah, I haven't redone the K yet because I wasn't happy with how that turned out. That's going to be in there soon. but I've got to redo it. I just wasn't happy with it. These will be in because they're absolutely gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Okay, back to what I'm doing. Next layer goes down, heating it up, making sure that it's going to cover the entirety of the piece, because at this point I really cannot afford to put any more just clear resin in here, because at now, like, my sides are full. All I've got is the backing of the piece to work with. So like my entire project is not going to be how I initially wanted it to be. I've also got to add more of that glitter confetti because for whatever reason, instead of pulling to the center like resin typically does, it went off to the sides. I don't understand. It usually doesn't do that, but it did. It completely just drifted off to left field, like literally. And I don't know. So now we've got to add more of that in here. Otherwise it's going to look dumb just being on one side, and let that cure and then figure out what we're going to do for the back, because now, like I said, everything has changed. I had to add more clear around the sides because the lights floated and just all of the things, and I had to cover them up and they turned upside down and whatever, which would have been fine if I'd have just let that first layer cure. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, back to what I'm doing. So I'm just going through and adding some more pieces to it. We're going to let this cure up. Then we're going to go ahead and we are going to do the P and the T and see how they turn out. Now, as far as the letters go, I'm not going to make them all completely diamond like this. I want them all to be a little bit different so that when you get them, they will be just like more interesting. Do you know what I mean? Not just all 100% sparkly, whatever. I want them to all have a different kind of feel to it, so it just gives more interest to the pieces. All right, so I decided that since I didn't like how the K turned out using mica powder, I want to get a real good look at what it's going to look like using a clear, which is how they diamond kind of works better that way to get that sparkle. So we're using red resin dye for this, although it's not very red, it's more pink, but it's fine. Pouring in super incredibly slow so that the resin just can kind of slowly find its own way and filling all of those voids where the diamonds are, so that we don't have an issue with air bubbles, because that's not what I want. I want this to be a beautiful, perfect casting so we can see how gorgeous they turn out and get like a good actual look at what this mold is going to look like when it's done. Now, that being said, they are handmade, hand cut molds, so you don't want to dome these pieces. I am going around with a silicone tool, just kind of jabbing it in there. I found with like diamond type facets and stuff in there, if you rub it back and forth, it actually creates a lot of bubbles. So if you just stab it within an inch of its life, it seems to work better that way. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but yeah. Did that, just topping them up a little bit more. Again, we don't want them domed because they are hand cut molds. Little quick spritz of alcohol. Those are set off to the side. Now this is the next day. Our letters are done. I'm waiting for some resin to mix up. And as we wait, we're going to go ahead and demold these and see how these turned out. And I'm super excited about them. I think, guys, I think they turned out. Look how beautiful. They're super sparkly. Absolutely love them. I think that once I get like the entirety of the alphabet done and you can like do words and do like wall art and stuff like that with them, I think they'll be really cute. They're about like 3-ish. I haven't measured them, but about 3 inches tall, which is, you know, a nice size. Obviously too big for a keychain, but I think for like maybe a luggage bag. I don't know. It might be too big for like a pool for a luggage bag, but I think that they would be cool for like doing names, some wall art, stuff like that. I really like them a lot. I think they're pretty. I love the sparkle on them. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, let's get into this now. So I decided that since color wasn't the way I was going to go, I mixed up a new glitter mix for it that I thought would kind of look pretty cool. And I called it Jingle Bells, mainly because I had Christmas music on when I was mixing it, and it was Jingle Bells happened to be playing, so why not? Anyway, I honestly, like, I was just getting kind of frustrated at this point, like nothing was working out the way I wanted it to. So the solid color bit wasn't going to work. I decided that I'm just going to try glitter, see how it goes, and whatever, and we'll just see. Now, I didn't add a lot of glue. I just added 1 drop of glue to it because I did pack it full of glitter. And honestly, like, there's not a whole lot of room left in this tray for it to drop down to. I did want it suspended just a little bit, but again, it's where's it going to go? You know what I mean? I just didn't want it to be like the entire tray is clear, then we've got this one line of glitter, and then we've got another layer of clear, if that makes sense. So that's kind of why I did that. Anyway, I'm just taking my scribe and working it into like just underneath the rim of the mold and making sure that it's all completely filled up underneath there and I've got no air bubbles. And then once it's worked out, I'm going to hit it really good with my heat gun and then finish filling it up. Now, I didn't make quite enough resin up, so I am going to mix up just a tad more just to fill it up the rest of the way. I'm not adding any more glitter to it, and honestly, I did it off camera. I just poured it in there, like right on top, and kind of stirred the resin into the glitter that was mixed up on the bottom, and that's pretty much it. Now it's time for this to cure, and then we can finally demold it and see how it turned out. And I hope it turns out nice. I really do. I'm kind of worried again. Like, there's a lot of things I would change about what I did, and I think it would make a huge difference, and it would come out completely different. But all in all, anyway, let's see. This is the next day. Finally 100% done. Thank God. Like, thank God. Let's see how it turns out. Now, if you've not used this mold, this is like one of my favorite tray molds. And if you haven't seen it, this is the small one, and then they have a larger one too. Absolutely love it. I love the little corner bits on it, but when you go to demold it, just kind of loosen it around all the sides and then take the corners out one by one, and it comes out really easy. If you don't do it that way, it's not so easy. So just a little tip there. All right, let's look at this. Let's see how this turned out. All right, here we go. So now, like the glitter, I think the glitter's pretty. I think it would have looked a lot better if it was the chrome powders that I did the tree. It would stand out more right now. Because it was just mica powder, you can see the glitter behind it and whatever. Like, it's pretty, don't get me wrong. It would have been better though. It would have been better. I like the lights on the side. Again, I wish that I had done things differently, but it was like missing something. So I was like, all right, a little bit of gold around the sides will add to it. And initially I thought about just doing the entire top of the rim gold, but I was like, well, the whole purpose of me putting these lights in here is because I wanted to be able to see the lights. So if I do that, I'm going to lose the light. I mean, yeah, you can see it through the side, but I'm going to lose it being able to see it from the top. So I decided I'm just going to edge the edges of the tray with a little bit of gold. It adds to it and makes it look more finished. Again, like, I wouldn't have added the glitter confetti had I known beforehand I was going to do the glitter, but the glitter, like, I like it. Everything looks lost in it right now. Like, you can't see the glitter confetti in there because it's glitter on glitter like that. I mean, you can kind of look at it and pick out the pieces, but you can't see the tree. You completely lose the tree, and that's because I just used regular mica powder. So if you're going to do something like this, I highly recommend, if you can get them, I'm sorry, Lynn, get Let's Resin's chrome powders. They are amazing. If not, maybe try and find a chameleon powder, intense chameleon powder, something like that to try and use, and it'll be better. Or you can paint behind it after you demold the after you demold like your inlay, you can paint behind it and then pour yourself, and then you'd get a better result. Anyway, that's a wrap on this one, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will see you on Saturday in the next one. Love ya. Bye.
Blue elephant is strong. Together we belong. In every comment, bright